I'm Judy Stiles. Thank you for joining us this week on Newsmakers. Well, as a new semester gets underway at Missouri Southern, there's a lot of activity on campus, but there's been a lot of things happening in the summer as well. So today we're going to take a look back, but as well as a look forward with the athletic department. Joining me, Jared Bruggeman, with the athletic director. Thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I know that a lot of people think everybody just goes home for the summer, nothing happens at Southern, but your department is an example of there's always something going on.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the summertime is a chance for us to catch up on a lot of things that we weren't able to do during the year, but also we have camps in the summer. Matter of fact, right now we have a volleyball camp going on. I don't know how many teams are there, but I think there's somewhere around 40-ish. Wow. So they're here. They're also at Webb City, and there were so many that can't fit all in Leggett and Platt. So we're very busy in the summer. We try to keep active. Our student athletes, some of them go to summer school. Other ones stay around the community and work, and then also work out in our athletic facilities. So even though we're in the downtime, we're still very active over there.
Right. And you've been athletic director since, what, 2009?
2009, yep, just about a decade now.
Almost a decade. So you've seen a lot of changes over these years. Any special feelings as you look forward to this upcoming fall and the seasons and so forth?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's very exciting, one, to be an athletic director at Missouri Southern. I mean, in the time that I've been here, there's been a lot of changes. We've seen a lot of growth, and that's been very, very neat to see that. So, some things we're looking forward to. Obviously, we're looking to turn the corner in our football program. Our other sports in the fall have done very well, and actually are getting better. With our soccer program, our volleyball program, of course, our cross-country program has been very successful as it is too. So we look forward to going into the summer or going into the fall and seeing how that goes. Obviously, we're always trying to do things facility-wise, upgrades. Whether it's just some branding opportunities or whether as we make the major announcement, of course, about the video board coming up, the new video board here at Missouri Southern, and that's pretty exciting as well.
Well, we'll talk about some of those subjects today. Before we start talking about what's going to come up, let's look back briefly. I know at the end of the academic year there were announcements about academic achievements awards for some of your athletes. That kind of off the field or off the court type of recognition must mean a lot for your department. Oh,
absolutely. We have individuals have performed very well in the classroom and in the athletic realms, but we also have just overall collectively our student body, our student athlete body does very well academically. So I don't remember exactly what the number was. We had 130, 140-ish all academic MIAA. Of course, we had the Ken B. Jones winner, which is the highest award you can receive in the conference in the MIAA, to Allie Heckemeyer, who she did very well as an athlete, with
she was on the track team?
Track team, multi-time All-American, elite 90 winner, which means she has the highest GPA of anybody at the championships. And she had received that twice. You're only allowed to receive it that many times, so she can't get another one. But anyway, for her to receive that, as a 4.0 GPA, is actually in grad school, started grad school. The very day that she received that award, was her first day at grad school, so she left Columbia, drove to the event, received the award, got in a car and drove back for grad school. So, it's fantastic to see our athletes perform well in the athletic area and also in the academic.
It must be also rewarding to see them go on to things like grad school and their professions after they graduate from Southern. They don't necessarily have an athletic career to follow, but they've prepared themselves for other careers.
Oh, well, absolutely. I mean, we have athletes, obviously, that turn professional in sports, and I think right now we probably have 13 or 14 that are what we would consider professionals, maybe even more than that. But most of them do not. One of the new doctors here in town, one of the ortho doctors in town here is Dr. Jones. Well, he played basketball for Missouri Southern. We're excited to have him as working with our teams as well as a physician. So they go on and become very successful in the business world and everything else. And so it's great to see that they perform well in the classroom, perform well in the field, perform well in life.
And you mentioned those who are professional. Just this summer we found out about one of our recent basketball players going pro.
Right, yeah. CJ signed a contract. He's going, I believe it's Germany is where he's headed to. So that's pretty exciting for him. We currently have, I think, 5 or 6 that are playing professional basketball. So it's pretty exciting. And he's actually following in Skylar Boland's footsteps, same program that Skylar started out with too. So we're happy for CJ. That's always been a dream of his. And it's great to know that Division II talent can go on and develop to be professional athletes. And so we see, we have 2 in the NFL as well, and it's great to see that.
Right, and probably people don't realize that there's that whole world of European basketball. Everybody thinks, well, you just go to the NBA. There's a lot of other ways to be able to get that experience.
There's a lot of ways to get, and the NBA, of course, is the pinnacle of it with the high salary amounts and everything. But, to think about the opportunity to get to travel overseas, be paid to be there. They pay for your lodging, they pay for your food, that you're making money, you're doing what you enjoy, and you get to experience another culture. could we ask for anything better than that? I really, I really have a hard time believing that those opportunities are even out there, and yet they are. And what a great experience for those folks to be able to do that. And maybe it's 5 years, maybe it's 3 years, maybe it's 10 years. But and then you come back home and you've got a world experience.
And opportunities once you come back with that kind of experience, tying that together. Well, let's look ahead to fall. I know that that's the busy time of year, I guess, for your department, because you have a lot of sports that are kicking off, and as you said, athletes coming back to campus or practicing and getting ready.
Right, absolutely. So, we do have, I have a couple notes down here, but our football home opener is September 8th. Against Lindenwood. We actually start the week before that on a Thursday playing Nebraska Kearney. So we're on the road for the first game on a Thursday, but then we come back that next Saturday, a following weekend Saturday, and we'll be playing against Lindenwood at 6 p.m. We do have 6 home games this year in football. You alternate between 6 and 5 because you play 11. So we do have 6 in our last game of the year, which will be obviously a hotly contested game, will be against Pittsburgh State on November 10th. And I believe I'm not sure what time the game time is actually.
So that's kind of home and away. This is our year to be able to host the game.
It is our year to host the game, and so we expect great crowds. We always do a rivalry week. It's the end of it's the last game of the year, and and things could go pretty well. We could see how that works out. I mean, a few years ago we played at Pitt at that last game of the year, and made a nice miraculous victory. And when that happened, we knocked them out of the playoffs. So these games are important. They're significant. Rivalry games always are, and a rivalry game is always tough and well fought. So we're looking forward to having that at home this year.
And your football coach has some new staff to work with. He's recruiting not only players but staff as well.
That's correct. Yes, we've actually cycled through all of our assistant coaches this year. They've all taken other jobs, and those jobs are. It's interesting. Coaches have to be willing to move if they're willing to advance their careers, and they are. They're very fluid. But all of them have taken better paying jobs. Many of them have gone up to Division I, and they're following their dreams. So we love that they were here. We appreciate that they were here, and now we're refilling those. So we've got new staff on there as far as football. We actually have a new assistant women's basketball coach as well. We will be adding assistant softball coach as well, and we're adding an assistant volleyball coach as well, and assistant soccer coach.
So a lot of new faces behind the scenes.
Yeah, and that's fairly common in our business, that they do have opportunities to advance their career, and that's kind of what you have to do that early on, and take advantage of the time you can until you get to where you want to be and the level you want to be at, and go from there.
So summer's a time for the coaches to kind of mold their coaching team per se. Then when the players come back to work with the combined team.
Right. Yeah, and it's really a chance when for example in football, it's a chance for him to get an understanding of who they are and what they represent, and how can they work collectively as a team, as a coaching team, to get where they need to be, and I think that's true with basketball as well with the assistant. They spend a lot of time going over what do we do, who are we, and what do you bring to the table that you can help influence what we're trying to do to be successful. So it's very exciting.
Well, I know some big news off the field on football, a new video board. You mentioned that earlier, so let's share some of that information with the audience.
Sure. Yeah, the new video board with the announcement on a Thursday. But a few things. I do have a few informational things. I think they're interesting.
Nuts and bolts of what it is, and
so it will be 63 feet 10 inches tall, which basically puts it about 15, 20 feet above the crossbar, above the goalpost.
Goalpost, okay.
So if you go from the top of the goalpost, it's going to be
looming over this field.
Yes, it will be. It's going to be about 90 feet, a little over 90 feet wide. A few interesting facts. It's going to have 2.1 million LEDs in it. It's going to be a high definition.
Right.
There are, 718,000 total pixels. The actual weight of the video board itself would be about 96,000 pounds. But it's interesting enough, they're removing 300 cubic yards of soil in order for us to install this, which is 30 truckloads. And then we're filling that with 900,000 pounds of concrete.
So it's going to be very securely attached to the ground.
Well, it's like a big sail, right? When you're 60-something feet tall and 90 feet wide, and the way the wind blows, you better make sure it's anchored in. We don't want to have that thing going over. So it's pretty pricey thing to have you go down on it. So, but 900,000 pounds of concrete should hold her down.
Wow, and that's going to be in what would be the south end zone. So when you're looking at the field, you're looking to the south. That's where you'll see it, kind of replacing where the old scoreboard used to be.
Right. Yeah, and the old scoreboard really we had to do something regardless. The old scoreboard was really a non-functional. It was I think if I remember correctly, it was a 1991 installation. So it just wasn't up to date, and we were really struggling with keeping it running over all of those years. The parts are not replaceable. Right. So we had to do something anyway. We didn't have to go this big, but we really chose to. And what's interesting about this, it's a very high price ticket item, but there's a lot of value to it. There's going to be educational components for students. We're also going to engage the community with movie nights and things like that. It's going to be like a high def, 60-foot
It's more
wide.
than just come to the football game and see the big screen.
Yeah, it's going to be utilized a lot for a lot of different functions. But, it was paid for by donors and paid for by sponsors and corporate sponsors. And there's not any university resources that go into this. This was people that we had an idea, we presented it to them, and they jumped on board. And they wanted to do something like this, and it's important. It's important for Missouri Southern. It's important for Missouri Southern athletics. It's important for football and track and field, and anybody that utilizes that field. It's a step in the right direction. So we're very excited about it.
And their names will be recognized with that board when people come to the games.
Right,
or the events.
right. The sponsors, all their sponsorship will be on there, and there's some other things like we run certain commercials, but they'll always be on there. Now, if the board's not on, you'll still see them. They're backlit, so they'll get 24/7 exposure, and that's part of their, that's part of how they can explain away too. Listen, we're spending this money, but we're also getting the marketing and knowing, for example, the 4th of July event that we hosted, and the university kind of hosted that together, but it was really an athletics endeavor working with the city on that. That brought in 8,000 spectators. Well, they will all see that as well. So, matter of fact, next year we're planning on utilizing the video board with a countdown and some things like that, so people will know exactly. Tie it to. You can watch the band, and then we'll have a countdown on the corner that they'll know exactly when the fireworks display will begin. Great. So it's going to be pretty exciting. We're very excited to have it. I really want to thank our sponsors and all the hard work of the people on this campus that worked with them, and certainly the athletics folks that this was a dream for quite a few years, and to have it come to fruition is pretty awesome.
So this will really enhance the experience for the fans at the game. They're going to have the game on the field, but there's almost a production off to the side on that board. Right,
and and the intention behind a video board is not just to show what's going on the field, because you can often see all that. Right. It's really the interactive components, and how do you get the fans more engaged, and also how do you market product to them, whether it's the corporates that are paying for it or other things that might be of interest to the fans. So we're going to utilize everything we can about that board. I imagine we'll have little hiccups running on early on, but we'll figure it out as we go, because it's a whole other realm of possibilities for us.
I imagine in today's sports world, you have a stadium, people expect that. I mean, you go to professional stadiums, even a lot of other collegiate and even high school stadiums, you have that type of presentation of a board. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to engage them. If there's downtime, what are we doing? Okay, yes, we'll run a commercial, but then we're also going to have some sort of activity that's going to engage them, or if we're trying to get them more involved. So in the MIAA now, we were the last one not to have a video board. Now we effectively will have one of the largest. So you have one of the bigger and better ones. Right. So third biggest in the country. But that being said, it's going to be a great thing for us to utilize, and people expect it now. In the MIAA, it's a norm, and so we've got to maintain the norm. Well, going along with those changes, I know there's been some discussion over the years about upgrading the stadium itself, remodeling, rebuilding. Is that still something under discussion and planning? Well, absolutely. I mean, at some point we have to do something with the stadium. It's in its original form. I mean, other than we put some paint on it every now and then and done a few small things, and we've tried to market it up better and make it look a little bit better with some branding issues. And I did, a few years ago, we chopped off the visiting side, because we had stairways that went to nowhere, because we never had finished the whole project of that. So we are in the process of getting that out there. It's going to happen. It's just, we have to fundraise. This is not it's not something the university pays for. It's not something that the public expects that universities should pay for. We need to take care of our staff and faculty at Missouri Southern. So this will be something we'll be out in the community, encouraging the community members to be supportive of it and figure out if there's ways we can get that done. So you had the community support, financial backing for the scoreboard. Now you're looking for that for the stadium and help. Absolutely. And part of it was when we do the stadium project, as time will come on, we would have to do a video board anyway. So we really, in a sense, have phased this one in. We've got the video board component. Let's get rolling with that. That's going to help us with the marketing of what we're trying to get done, and then let's go to the next phase. So we've been following a plan that was put together in 2006. Sally Beard was the AD. She kind of laid out a plan.
When I took over, I was told to follow up on that plan, and so we have. We've been adjusting things. We've been modifying things. We built the baseball stadium. We've modified softball. We've done some things with soccer. We've certainly done some things in Leggett and Platt. We redid the turf. We built the north end zone. So all these things are part of the plan.
Right, and with the fall sports that you have, I know you have the cross-country track that is seen as one of the best in the region and the country. You're going to be hosting regionals again this year?
We will be. We'll be hosting the NCAA regionals this year and next year. And next year we're also hosting the MIAA, not this upcoming, the following year. So we have a cross-country course that is, if not the best, one of the best in the country, and certainly in Division II. It's strictly a cross-country course. It's not anything else, and you don't run on golf courses like the other ones. This is really what it's designed for. It's named after Tom Rutledge, our longtime coach here, and he's helped contribute to the cause. So this year, every year we do something. We add more things to it. This year we're doing some branding up on there. We're going to be getting some new signage and make things a little bit smoother. We also had added a culvert and did some work out further out on the course to make that a little bit longer, straighter. So we get a little over a half mile on a straightaway just to smooth out the crowds. We'll have the Stampede, which will be in September. About 3,000 student athletes competing.
The runners are 3,000.
Yep, we'll have 8 races. And then so with spectators, we'll be somewhere between 8 to 10,000 people at that event, which will be pretty fabulous. But then the cross-country regionals, of course, that's the pinnacle for a lot of kids. They don't advance on to the NCAA national championships. That may be where it goes. So we want to make that experience as positive for all those student athletes as they can. So we'll have schools from North Dakota, Minnesota, Nebraska, Iowa, Arkansas, Texas, Kansas, Oklahoma.
So this whole center section of the country, they're coming to Joplin.
It'll be the GAC, the NSIC, and the MIAA are really essentially the core of that regionals. So it'll be a lot of teams coming in from all around, and it's going to be a great experience. And we're so excited to be able to host and represent Missouri Southern to the national level.
Of course, you mentioned soccer and volleyball, those sports, their facilities, and their teams getting ready as well. And golf also falls into this picture somewhat as well.
Right, yep. And golf is interesting. They're a sport that play in the fall and the spring. So they have championship stuff in the fall and then championship stuff in the spring, and they add up and get these point systems and all that stuff. So Mike Wheeler is our men's golf coach and now our women's golf coach. We added women's golf this year. It's the first year of the program. Very excited about that. We've got some local talent. There's some good golfers in the area, Carl Junction, Joplin, Carthage, Seneca area. There's some pretty good golfers, so we're pretty excited about all that to get them here. So he is the coach for both of those programs now. Incidentally, kudos to Coach Wheeler. He was nominated and selected for the Joplin Area Golf Hall of Fame this summer. So there was a ceremony for that. He was recognized, gave a speech, and all that good stuff. So we're very excited to have him as our coach. And then the assistant coach now is a local, played at Missouri Southern. He's a golfer from Missouri Southern. He's the golf pro at Briarbrook. So Caleb will be joining our staff as well. So we're great to have an alum help us out.
And volleyball, new coach starting off the season there. So
we have a new coach. Yep, Coach Napier left after the end of last season in December. Take a job down in Phoenix, and we certainly miss having Coach around. But very excited to have Coach Mader on our staff. She comes from Texas, but she's actually from Kansas originally, so we're very excited to have her. She's done very well. She coached at the JUCO ranks, and then she coached at a 4-year institution for a while. Now she's part of our staff, so we're excited to have her. And they're coming off 11 wins last year, which was an improvement, 11-20. So we're excited to see where she can take us. She's made the NCAA or made the national championship tournament a couple times, so we're excited to have her.
She has a lot of local talent too for volleyball. You have a lot of people strong around this area.
Absolutely, there is some very good volleyball in this area, and besides that, within this region, you get up into Kansas City. There's some really high talent. Back in the day when I was coaching at North Dakota a long, long time ago, I recruited kids out of Kansas City. I would drive. It was a 14-hour drive, get in the car, drive down there, and met a couple of them, and then tried to get them up north, and they did. One of them went up and ended up being our all-time assist leader in setting. So there's some good talent, has been for a long time, so it's good to see that we're getting local talent.
So when you look at recruiting, it's more than just the Joplin metro area. Your coaches are looking around the region and around the state and St. Louis, Kansas City. They're
and around the country and around the world.
Right.
If you think about Kip Rupp, we brought him from Africa.
Right.
So that's a long ways from here. We have. If there's good local talent, we go after that. That's the number one priority. Get your good local talent. And you see that in track and field with, Bubba was a national champ for us this year in track and field as a thrower, and he's from Carthage. So it's great to see that. So we go for the local talent. We also go regionally, and we go nationally to fill whatever those gaps we have, or internationally for that matter as well. And that's part of the diversity that we bring to the table. So it's just not all local. It's got the mixture, and that's great. It's part of what we're supposed to do. It's part of our mission for Missouri Southern, and we take it very serious.
And that really ties into the whole recruiting students to Missouri Southern and the student body and the diversity and what we can have on campus.
Yeah, absolutely. When I took over in 2009, we had about 309 student athletes. This last year we had 504. And we did not add any sports. We have just increased our numbers. And the scholarship doesn't change. The scholarships are the same. Whatever our allocation is what we spend. So they're paying their own way. These student athletes are coming here to represent Missouri Southern and the hard work and dedication it does. But they're students here, and they're students first. And so when they get here, they're creating, I think, a diversity for our campus, and local, regional, international, whatever they may be. It's part of the flavor of Missouri Southern, and we're proud to do it, and they're very much integrated to our community.
You mentioned scholarships. I know for public they think, well, there's a lot of scholarship at the collegiate level, but that's not necessarily the case, especially at Division II, that these athletes are putting a lot of their own effort into becoming an athlete. Oh,
absolutely. The average, if you just do the math, in a certain sport, the NCAA limits how many scholarships you can give, full equivalencies. Well, in the sport of football, you can offer 36 full equivalencies. Well, they carry 147 on their rosters. That means if 36 of them are receiving full aid, that means the other 120 are paying everything on their own. Now, we break it apart. We have a partial scholarship model, so one person can get a small percentage, another. So we help offset that way. So more people receive aid, but they don't receive full aid. So they're students. They're paying their own way. They work very hard representing the university and representing us the right way in the community, and they compete and practice hard for us to represent us, and they're proud to wear the green and gold. They're proud to be a Lion.
Now, you mentioned community support, but also the university supporting the community. I know when people go to, say, Third Thursday or some of the events, we'll see your athletes out there. People in the community, we'll see them volunteering in organizations.
Right. We do encourage, actually mandate, encourage and mandate, as that's within the rules, but they do about 10 hours of community service a year. This is not mandated community service like they went to jail or something. This is
we want
community
you to get
service,
involved,
yes. And so, they have certain things that they're interested in. Last year we had, I think, one student athlete did about 160-something hours of community service, whether it goes to read in a school, whether it's a church group. All those are still community engagement activities. Same thing with Third Thursday. You will see all the sports programs out there. They'll be very active. They'll be going around handing out stuff, meeting people, greeting people. Whether it's a 300-pound football player, those are big people.
You can't miss them at Third Thursday, right?
Or whether it's a 7-foot basketball player, people like to talk to those kids. They like to talk to athletes. They enjoy, I guess, the perspective of that, and what it's like to be an athlete and an elite athlete in many of these cases. So they very much take that very serious. Our student athletes do. They engage with the community. They work at all sorts of events to get their name out there, especially schools and children. That's really the bread and butter of what we do, because that's our future Lions, engaging those kids and having them engage our student athletes.
Speaking of future Lions, I used to have a Lion Young Kids Club or Lion Young Club,
Cub Club. Yep, and
still working on those types of
promotions? We still do. I think last year we hit a record number. One thing that really has been interesting is we added the bounce houses a couple of years ago. We purchased a few of those, and we have really essentially paid those back after 1 year with the memberships and things that we've done. But that's really engaged these families. We also don't charge for kids 12 and under to enter our games. So what we have discovered, which is what we hoped would happen, is that parents will come to the games knowing that their kids can be entertained. They can still watch the game. They can enjoy that, and at the same point, they're engaging with our student athletes. Run those in a lot of cases, the bounce houses and activities, and so the students are having a good experience. Our student athletes are having a good experience. The children are having a good experience. The parents get a chance to
watch the game.
Enjoy the game and not worry about everything. So it's been really a very successful venture. And Rand and Coffee and the guys that were really engaged in that, and at the time was Nathan Bramwell, but Daniel, now who does our ticketing, has been very engaged in that. It was a great idea. I'm very supportive that we did it.
Great. And of course, you have the Linebackers for the adults who want to support the athletic program, and that
and
kind of campaign's ongoing for people to join.
It is, and that campaign really kicked off here in July, and it will go on until essentially right around February. Last year we hit a record year. Our membership was, it kind of, some years we hit highs and some years we bounce a little bit up and down. But our revenues have been increased, so people are giving more. And it really, the message is when we talk to the linebackers, they know the money goes towards benefiting the student athletes and making the student athletes allowing them to have a championship experience. So some of the money goes to scholarships with the 100% club, but the other money goes in to do things that the athletes maybe need to be more successful, or the athletes can enhance their experience. And so one thing that we're doing this year is we're renovating the weight room over in Leggett and Platt. We've been in the process, so it's going to take quite a while. Probably we've been doing it for a few months. It probably won't even be done until January-ish. But a lot of that money has come from the linebackers, and we needed to do that because that weight room is old and outdated, and the one in North End Zone is very updated.
Right, so you have two different facilities. You want to have them on the same comparison.
And we do. We want to make sure that the athletes are getting the same quality experience. So they can stay in Leggett and Platt, the basketball programs, the soccer, the volleyball. They can stay in Leggett and Platt and have the same quality experience as the ones that are over in North End Zone.
So they're investing their money for programs that will help.
They are, and if anybody's interested, they can just go to our website and click on there, and it'll the linebackers, and you can do it right online if you want, or call me. Heck, I'll drive one to your house.
And there's certain perks that come with that. The benefits of being a linebacker, and I know you have weekly luncheons during the football season, Lion Pride lunches.
Yep, we have also the one thing. If you engage us with the linebacker membership, you get a tax deduction. There's ticket benefits. There's other benefits that you would receive with that, apparel and all sorts of invites and things. The real key, though, is that you get enfolded into the group where you get communication from us, so you know what's going on. You get informational things, and we have a lot of activities that are not just around the sports. We do a lot of events, Moso Trivia Night, Southern Fest, all those type of events. So, and then the Lion Pride lunches, which are essentially every other Friday. We do move the days on occasion, but those are pretty exciting as well.
So you know what's happening with Missouri Southern Athletics.
Absolutely.
And so forth. So it sounds like a very exciting season, multiple seasons coming up. So from your department, it's just going to get busier between now and the start of school.
It is, yeah. We start planning about the time where we don't see any family for a while, and I can remember my sports information director last year saying like he hadn't had a week off, and it was a weekend off, and it was something like 28 consecutive weekends or something like that. Because we play games in the evenings and weekends.
Athletes play at night and weekends.
Yeah, we don't play at 2:00 on Monday. So but that's part of it. So we gear up for that, but we love it. I mean, if you have to have a real passion to be in sports because the hours are a bit ridiculous. And the pay sometimes is not great. We're not what you see on television.
Right. The big dollars are not.
We're not. We're not Duke or something like that, or Alabama or something. So what we have is very modest. We do very much with very little, and we're pretty excited about that. But we love sports, and hopefully you guys can engage us, and people come out and enjoy the sports and watch our athletes perform.
Oh, great. Well, Jared, I'd like to thank you for visiting with me today, sharing information with our audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me, and if you ever want me back, I'll be happy to talk some more.
Great. Well, thank you. And I'd like to thank you, the viewers, for joining us this week on Newsmakers. I'm Judy Stiles. Hope you can join me again next week at the same time on this station. We'll see you then.